All right. Well, we're going to try to do an update on the Unreal Sim that worked on. Last video was right over here. And we'll go through just not only an update, but what the hell we're trying to do. So, um, we can communicate with Unreal, with Python, with the web app. And what that enables us to do is add some AI things. So this might be a little bit of a rehash from the last video, which is a month or so ago. But what's happening right now is that running into a little bit of the AIs can't figure out what they're supposed to do. And you know, I'm just trying to do this simulation thing, and I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to tell them. So, uh, this project has been updated and revamped with all the way up to Fable and Soul, and now we're back down to uh, Opus. And what's happening is that the AIs you know, they can't seem to figure out what they're supposed to do. And it's been a month or so of back and forth uh, with this, vibe coding, giving the AIs eyes, you know, you can look at the 3D world and expecting the AI models to kind of take it to the next level, and they can't really quite do that. So, um, I would say that it's not necessarily my fault because the AIs are supposed to be so much smarter than me. So, and I've given them a reference material uh, and big picture documentation on what we want to try to do, but they still can't really figure it out. And, that's discouraging. But anyway, we'll go back over it and go back over the project, which is this is a Unreal project. It was originally we pulled in the MCP work that another gentleman did. I've given him, the accolades or whatever, but we're not making MCP calls anymore. And we're not trying to build three-dimensional worlds with Unreal and MCP because Unreal already has, they've just now come up with their own MCP. So what this project is all about is giving eyes, to two LLMs. One is um, a visual, or supposedly supposed to be a visual LLM, and all it does is takes the input from a piece of code that the camera that I built a while back and describes the world. And then we have another LLM that we can switch, and all of this is switchable, configurable, and then it tries to make the decisions what it thinks it wants to do. And the code has been vibe coded in such a way that it's like, we don't want to make huge amount of calls to cloud APIs. We want to try to keep it as simple as possible. But the bigger goal has been just let's try to move things around the world and have the things, APCs, AIPCs, make decisions on what they should do and where they should go. So uh, it's based off of let's get it running real quick. It's based off of a grid and a place cell architecture, kind of sort of like the human being or a rat or a cat or whatever. Places, grids and places get remembered. And right now we have this one individual over here. You can see the cameras on them. These cameras are the C++ code that I built a while ago that can take a picture of the world. And all it does is takes, you know, when you tell it to take a picture, it'll take a picture. And then you use that information and send it off to the cloud or locally, and you get a description of what is seen. So we're giving the AIs eyes. And the hope is that the AIs, the LLMs, would appreciate that and go, oh, well, let me write this code. Let me vibe code this code. And I want to explore this 3D world. And, you know, this whole thing that I'm doing is a toolkit to try to help people do the same thing I'm trying to do. But we ran into this month and a half of back and forth with several different high-end models trying to rework the code and not understanding how to run into things. And there's no optical uh, knowledge. All the data is there, but the LLMs still can't seem to figure out that, oh, well, I need to not walk into all this, corn. you know it's things like that that are obvious. So anyway, what the workflow is, we'll go through the workflow. Is we've got this one project which you can download. It is going to be technically hard to get it up and running, obviously, with the C++ part of the code. um, and I'm trying to work on to make it smoother. But until I do that, these two doofuses need to do what they're supposed to do, which is getting infuriating. So anyway, what we do is we click on this button. Now the simulator's running, and what I'm doing is I'm moving the cursor around. Then I hit Shift F1. Then we come over to the where it's running, and then we go over to here and apologize, Python, start the sim. And we've got there's tons of code here that are useful, but I still want this thing to behave a little bit better. We'll do a start. Now we've got the map. Now we've got this map. These are cells, grid cells, and place cells that the little, AI is going around. Surveyor. You can see Marin, and you can zoom in, you can zoom out. There's just a ton of code. You can potentially chat with them. We've got the providers. Haiku. I don't know if that's active or not. The sim. Go over here. And, this thing has sat here and um, generated tons of code that is useful. But it's got to do what I expect it to do. Now, you'll see right here, well, where'd he go? That's doofus. So we spin around, you look for him. He's moving. He's surveying the property. There he is, right there. And then he comes up over here. And then we run into all kinds of different situations to where these vehicles aren't, part of the nav mesh. And the design is, I don't care. I don't want the AI to even know what a nav mesh is. Right? This is just a 3D world that he's exploring. And while he's exploring it, he's like, oh, well, I'm in this grid. I'm going to make a community observation. And that community observation is all about, oh, if you come here, this is what you're going to potentially see. And that way, all the other AIs get this for free. They don't have to all do it all at the same time. Explore their 3D world. So you could potentially load a completely different world. It doesn't have to be this world, but you'll have to have a way to survey it. And there's an LLM that's making decisions at a more abstract position level. And then you have a LLM that is just looking at the images and saying, oh, well, this is a certain place, and this is important, and it gives it back. So there's two LLMs, and you can tweak them and say, well, I want either haiku, uh, you know, Anthropic, or I want Sonnet. And then the lower LLM is just I'm going to take a picture and tell you what I think I see. So the ultimate goal, and the code supports it, is running this overnight locally. Now it'll go slower, but that's not the point when you're first exploring the 3D world. You don't really care. And the other thing is we're saving the images where he's going into the grids, or trying to get to a certain part of a grid, and then he'll do a 3D observation on it. and that all gets saved to a file. So you could potentially, and that's what I'm going to try to do next, is use a local uh, model that doesn't go out to the internet. You know, that's what local means. So we're watching him right now. Yeah, see, what he's doing right now is he's taking a survey, a 360-degree survey where he's at, and he's saving this. So this particular run, it's getting better and better. And what we're wanting to do is have this system run overnight or for a day or for a half day. And then the survey APC, won't be used again. Now, what we found out is that we have to share a lot of these rules with all the other APCs. And that was a bug that was, you know, happening. So this guy right here is going around the 3D world. See, he's going over there. F1, we come over here. We come over here to map. And you can see where he's at. He's building these grids and he's adding places to these grids. We have the concept of a community, um, entry, place cell inside of a grid cell that the community can use. See, over there, he's over there. And that way the other APCs don't have to do both surveying and just being a regular APC, which is Marin, selling grocery or selling fruits at a fruit stand. All right, so a huge amount of code that I did not write, and I don't care to write. Strike out, and you can see what he's dealing with right here. And this all gets logged. So what we'll do is and he's getting better and better and better. We'll stop it, ticks 38. Couple of bugs. And then what we do is we go and, we nag Anthropic, and we just say, look at and this agent is smart enough to just go through and look at the logs and kind of figure out what's going on, and then yada yada yada. So we're running into, I'm trying to get the AI and the visual AI, the VLM, to work together so that we don't run into situations to where it gets blocked by stupid things. And it's not just for the surveyor, it's for all the other characters. All the other characters will inherit this navigation ability. That's the whole point. And then as the surveyor is done surveying, all of that data is saved, and we can build a VLM. So you pull the thing down, worlds, and of course it says MCP world, but it's not that anymore. And you go agents, and then you go doofus, and you go observations. Well, this is what it's seeing. Now, what, of course, these are other observations that are older. And what we obviously want to do is get it to where it doesn't make a remote call to something that it's already seen before and it's already got a description before. So that's a little bit of, optimization. And then we have places. This is kind of a way to get the LLM to know that, oh, well, I've been to this place before. So, and this place is so many units over this way and so many units over this way. This is how I get to this place. And this is the kind of thing that you want when you want these things to communicate and start talking to each other and doing those types of things, which is we're not even close with the way I want to do it, and we're not necessarily tied to Unreal, and that's why I'm pushing back on the LLMs. And maybe even after the surveyor does its survey, uh, we build a custom VLM, visual language model for the particular game. And that way, those are all local calls, and there's other information inside of it, not just what you're looking at, but no, you can't go there, or blah blah blah. So, uh, I've made a huge amount of. I don't even know what he's doing there. That's good, as long as he's surveying. And this little 3D world is something, I paid for. You'll have to use your own. But it has so much data in it. It's not that it's a 3D world or Roblox or anything like that. Pro note, Gemma, if you give these images to Gemma, it does not know what they are. Right? It's a it's a multimodal model, but these images, and I've done it with open code, with open router, and then with Gemma. Gemma doesn't, it can't figure this out. So you can't use Gemma, even though it's a multimodal. But the theory is that if I've got enough training data, then I can basically fine tune Gemma, which will run locally, slow, locally on my computer, um, and use it for the visual model. And we've already got that. That's already starting to get saved. So there's tons of things that are happening right here. What's the ultimate goal? I don't know. The ultimate goal is for somebody to be able to easily load their 3D world into this system with the plugins, with the code, with the whatever, and then be able to walk around and have not NPCs but APCs. It's the same thing, and it's there. Let's see. Well, I can't do it now because it's dead. APC. Well, there's APCs right there. Edit. This system will let you edit the these APCs, just like, see, we got Sonnet, and you got the character MD, and you've got the goals MD. Yeah, see, rules, import, doctrine, basics, ground, movement. That's what they just started. It just started doing. And this gives you the ability to carve and contour the APCs in the 3D, world. Right now, it's relatively tightly coupled to Unreal, but the push is to make sure that this thing is totally abstract. So we have providers and setting, providers are the LLMs, Anthropic or OpenAI or, Open Router, and all that code already works, but we've got the bigger problem of, we just need to get the rules for walking around and not necessarily relying on the nav mesh. Some other systems might not have a nav mesh. So there is what I call a lizard brain chunk of code that kind of translates and buffers and abstracts the LLMs from the underlying game engine. But we got this nav mesh, and right now these things tear off, and man, they'll go in the cornfields, and it's like, no, wait a minute, and I'm not going to edit the nav mesh to keep that from happening. I want the AIs to know that, oh, this looks like I can't fit in there. This looks like I shouldn't go in there. And that's where I am at right now with the AIs, which is um, building half code and then building half. You've got eyes, you can see, you can describe the situation. Don't do it, right? I mean, that's where we're at right now. So they're doing pretty good. Sonnet's doing pretty good, and even in the logs, it will say, "Oh, I should not go in there." But the code, the underlying code, nav code, will just do it anyway, and that's a frustrating thing. This past month made a huge amount of progress, but then we're back and forth with, don't run into that person. Don't go into that back alley. Don't do those things. And the AIs have the eyes, and they're smart, and they're saying, oh, I shouldn't do that, but the code still does it. So that's a current fight. Soul hasn't figured out. Fable hasn't figured out. I'm still doinking around with Opus and trying to carve away, not to beat this dead horse in the ground, but this is the type of brain that the SDK, this toolkit, should just give for free. And these people like yourself that are interested in this stuff shouldn't have to think about all of these things. Anyway, that's about it. It's still making progress. It was huge amounts of progress and then it slowed down. And my guess is that in the next couple of weeks, and I don't work on this 24 hours a day. I work it out. I'm a $21 Anthropic and $21 OpenAI plan. And I just go to sleep and then I wake up and I'm like, oh, well, maybe we should try this. I really wish the AIs would just figure it out, but at least with this particular problem, they can't. So, no big deal. Next week will be another huge AI leap. I'll switch over to that model, have them go back through the code, and kind of figure out how to make this work. All right. Thanks a lot for hanging out this long. You're awesome. And